Welcome to day 205 of our DeSo journey. I'm Ed Krasenstein here with my twin brother Brian. And remember, these videos are sponsored by CloutFeed. Yeah, so another feature that's on CloutFeed that you don't get anywhere else is that you can actually post multiple images in a post on CloutFeed, and you can also add images to comments. So if you're a big image person, I think CloutFeed's probably right for you. Yeah, it's another great feature. So not really too much news going on yesterday. Everybody's kind of checking out Diamond app. There are some issues with the referral program I've noticed personally, and I know others on Discords have noticed as well. But it appears as though people are really taking advantage of the referral program and simply cashing out. Like I was going through like hundreds of referral payments from Merlin over the course of the past 8 hours or so. I noticed that there's literally dozens and dozens of them where somebody signs up, gets $100, and immediately transfers that $100 to another account. And a lot of times that other account seems very closely related to the person who referred them. So people are gaming the system. They're taking this $100, in some cases $200 refer if you're also the referrer, it appears, and simply cashing out, sending it to other accounts. And I'm sure they're taking it through blockchain and cashing out. And I'm starting to worry that, the price of DeSo fell quite a bit over the last 2 days or so, and it's down to about $92. I'm worried that this cashing out of referral commission is causing the price to fall.
Yeah, I mean, right now there's not a tremendous amount of DeSo volume. So there's not a lot of buying and selling. So even if you have 10 or $20,000 of referrals cashing out on blockchain, it's gonna probably have an impact. I think even worse is just the fact that a lot of the money in the foundation is just being spent on useless promotion, useless, I guess, bots or whatever you want to call them. So I hope that they can look at this and kind of figure out a way to stop some of it. It's something that no matter what you do, you're always going to have to deal with people trying to manipulate the system. It's just however you fight back is really what's important, I think.
Well, it seems as though they're getting past the Jumio verification somehow in order to make this money. So is it people that are using, a friend's ID just to cash out, or like a sibling or a spouse's ID just to cash out? I don't know. It seems like it's so rampant that there's probably a handful or two of people who are doing this over and over again. At least that's what it seems when you go through like the actual transactions are taking place. But yeah, it definitely needs to be fixed before this gets too out of hand and like more and more scammers come on and try to manipulate the referral program. Because I mean, $100, that gives you a lot of incentive to scam and manipulate. So we got to be careful
Yeah,
here.
yeah, and I mean it's possible that there could be groups of people that are just saying, "Hey, let's go out and recruit people, say, and give them $60, and we get to keep that extra 40 plus the referral that we get." So I think it's money. A lot of money is going to drive a lot of scamming. So they gotta have to be careful not to let things get go too overboard.
Yeah, it's definitely a major concern. But in other news, um, Tyne, he's always finding all this interesting stuff. He discovered that Red Party Hat, one of the core developers, is developing another type of formulation or formula or algorithm, I guess you could call it, for the hot feed. And this is
Yeah,
going to allow node operators more control. You want to talk a little bit about that, Brian?
yeah. So basically what it does is this like, I guess, portal into the algorithm allows the node operator to select how much how much extra weight a multiplier. So how much of a multiplier you want to apply to certain users post on their node. So for instance, say I'm running this is the example that Tiny used. Say I'm running like a sports node where it's mostly athletes and fans. And I wanted to say, any professional athlete, they're going to have their post weighed in the hot feed by 2 times. So if if an ordinary user gets 1 point for every like, this person will get 2 points for every like based on their coin price and all that too. So you can add a multiplier to boost certain people, certain users, but you can also add another multiplier for interactions. So if you want to say that when Krasenstein likes a post, that should count twice as much as everybody else. You can do that too. So it's an interesting concept. It allows node operators to better curate the hot feed, I think, and it allows people to, it allows node operators to kind of control things better.
I think what we're going to see because of this is a more specialized nodes popping up. Like there's going to be a sports node that focuses mostly on sports. There's going to be a music node that focuses more on music. The NFT nodes, they can now have hot feeds that focus only on NFT artists. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this helps. I think it's going to help get more nodes to, specialize in certain categories.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it could be a broad niche or it could be a more narrow niche. Like, for example, maybe you run a women's club or something. You want to create a women's node that boosts women on the platform. So anybody who's a woman could be boosted in the hot feed, or, maybe it could be something for a religious group. You want to just boost people of a certain religion. The possibilities are endless. And I think it's going to allow us to see more specialization of the nodes.
Yeah, I mean, just a simple example would be an NFT node, which they could boost NFT artists by 5 times if they want, and interactions by NFT artists by 5 times, and then you're going to get all the NFT posts bubbling to the top of the hot feed. So
Let's say you are a fan of the LA Lakers and you want to create a Lakers node. You could boost all the Lakers players. You could boost anybody who verifies that they're a Lakers fan somehow, or anybody who shows that they're a Lakers fan, or registers as a Lakers fan, or maybe signs up for your Lakers fan club, unofficial Lakers fan club or newsletter. They could become verified on your platform, not verified, but they could be boosted on your node so that their posts and their interactions count as more. So I'm sure there's a lot of possibilities that we just can't think of, but I think this is really good. I think it's really a great step.
Agreed.
And in other news, crypto news, Bitcoin's ETF, the first Bitcoin ETF was approved by the SEC yesterday around 5 p.m. Eastern time, I believe. It was funny, earlier in the day, the NASDAQ actually approved it, but the SEC hadn't approved it yet. But I mean, it was obvious that the approval was coming because the NASDAQ probably knew that the SEC was about to approve it. But it's approved, and we saw the price of Bitcoin shoot up quite a bit yesterday.
Yeah, it's basically a futures ETF. So it's not like this. It's not like spot Bitcoin. It's not actual physical Bitcoin. It's basically you're betting on the futures, and it's an ETF that holds those futures. So it's gonna give Wall Street pros and just normal people investing into stocks an easier way to jump into Bitcoin. And although it's not physical Bitcoin, and by physical, I guess Bitcoin's not really physical, it's not actual Bitcoin, it is an ETF of futures, which should follow the price of Bitcoin to a T. So,
well, pretty closely, but in the short term, there could be some issues, but I don't think we're going to get into all that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's some people there's different philosophies. Some people say, oh, this is great for Bitcoin, it legitimizes it, it's going to send in a rush of new investors. But then there's also people saying, yeah, but this is actually not real Bitcoin. It's an ETF on futures, and it can basically expand the supply of Bitcoin. So it's I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. It legitimizes it. And 2 days ago, actually, a U.S. senator actually stood up on the U.S. Senate floor. Senator Cynthia Loomis from Wyoming. She's a Republican senator from Wyoming, and she actually said the words, "Thank God for Bitcoin." So, I mean, it's becoming more and more legitimate as time goes on, and it's reaching that point where it's become too big to fail, in my opinion.
Exactly. That's how I see it too. Like once the SEC approves an ETF like this, I mean, you're not going to see the government now decide, oh, we got to shut Bitcoin down.
Yeah. So I think that's all the news we have today. On Monday, we are opening the coin of Matterheads that will open up at 2 p.m. Eastern time on Monday. And, You can check out Natterheads. If you go to Natterheads on DeSo, Naderheads, you can see the very first Natterhead. There's going to be 100 released in the Genesis series. 20 will be released first bid on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time on Clubhouse. So check that out. And remember, these videos are all being minted as NFTs. So far, I think we've minted how many of them? Like
Maybe 9.
9 or so, and they've all sold. So the first person who bids on these videos, first person who bids 0.25 DeSo gets it. And we plan on doing this as long as we make these videos, but who knows, things change. But everybody have a great weekend. We'll talk to you tomorrow.